Hi everyone, welcome to the History of Football channel. Today I'll be doing another former football ground video. I've recently done Upton Park and Highbury. Go and check those out if you haven't watched them already. But tonight we're going to be doing Griffin Park, the former home ground of Brentford Football Club. Between Brentford's formation in 1889 and 1904, the club played at 5 grounds around Ealing: Clifton Road, Bensfield, Shottersfield, Cross Road and Boston Park Cricket Ground. In 1903, Fulham chairman Henry Norris, Brentford manager Dick Molyneux and club president Edward Underwood negotiated a 21-year lease at a peppercorn rent on an orchard owned by local brewers Fuller Smith and Turner along Ealing Road, with the option to buy the freehold at a later date of £5,000. After a gypsy camp was removed from the site and work began on building the ground in January 1904 under the guidance of architects Parr and Cates, the orchard was cut down by local volunteers who were allowed to keep the wood. The ground was initially built with a 20,000 capacity, but had provisions to increase it to 40,000. An 800-seater stand from Boston Park was rebuilt along the Bremer Road side of the ground, with an extension taking it to a capacity of 1,500. Beneath the stand were 3 dressing rooms and a number of offices and a recreation room. The ground was renamed Griffin Park after a nearby pub, the Griffin, which was owned by the Griffin Brewery and was used for accommodation. After a number of trial matches, Griffin Park was officially opened on the 1st of September 1904. The first competitive match at Griffin Park was a Western League fixture against Plymouth Argyle on the 1st of September 1904. In the match, Argyle scored the first competitive goal at the ground through Fred Buck, but 4 minutes from the final whistle, Tommy Shanks converted a James Swarbrick cross to secure a 1-1 draw. The attendance was estimated at between 4,000 to 5,000 people. The first competitive fixture to be played at the ground was a Southern League First Division match against West Ham United, which finished 0-0. Brentford had to wait a few more weeks for them to secure their first win at the ground, which was a 2-0 victory over Millwall. The money generated from Brentford's run to the 5th round of the FA Cup in 1926 allowed a new grandstand to be constructed to replace the cowshed on Bremer Road. Unlike the old grandstand, the new stand ran the length of the pitch. After the season, it was announced that Griffin Park would be completely redeveloped. Concrete terracing was installed at Ealing Road End in 1930. During the 1933 off-season, a new stand was constructed at the Brook Road end of the ground, and the new road terrace was extended the following year to allow a further seating capacity of 5,000. Prior to Brentford's first ever First Division game, the new road terrace was extended and a roof was added, which took the capacity to 20,000 people. Little development happened between the mid-1930s to the mid-1980s. The frontage of the Bremer Road stand was rebuilt in 1963. Flats were built in a spare matchday parking area behind the Ealing Road terrace in 1985, and the following year the Brook Road Cop stand was torn down and replaced by a 2-tiered stand which was nicknamed the Wendy House. On the new road side of the ground, the 1930s extension to the terrace was removed and a sheet metal wall was added to the back of the stand. Numerous improvements were made after Brentford's promotion to the Championship in 2014, including resurfacing of access areas, extra CCTV, new signage, new heated seats in the dugouts and AstroTurf installed in the pitch side runoff areas. With the club placed in the Championship playoff places in January 2015, additional work was carried out on the new road stand ahead of the deadline submission of the report to the Premier League, which outlined development plans ahead of potential promotion. LED advertising boards were installed during the 2017-2018 season, and goal line technology was installed during the 2017 off-season. Brentford had been planning to move away from Griffin Park as early as 1973, and after Brentford finished 5th in the Championship playoff finals in 2015, it raised serious questions about Griffin Park's suitability for Premier League football. Brentford were given special dispensation by the Sports Ground Safety Authority to retain the terracing in the Ealing Road and Brook Road stands for 3 consecutive seasons due to the club's good safety record and its impending move to the new Brentford Community Stadium. In October 2018, it was reported that the 2020 season would be Brentford's last at Griffin Park. Had promotion to the Premier League been achieved a year earlier, the club would have applied for special dispensation to play at Griffin Park in the 2019-2020 Premier League season. The last match to be played in front of Brentford fans where they got to see their team play at Griffin Park was on the 7th of March 2020 when they defeated Sheffield Wednesday 5-0. The final competitive match to be played at Griffin Park was a 3-1 Championship playoff semi-final victory over Swansea City on the 29th of July 2020, with Brian Mbeumo scoring the final Brentford goal. The last match to ever be played at Griffin Park was a London Senior Cup semi-final match played between Brentford B and Erith Town on the 26th of August 2020. Brentford B won the match 6-3. Towards the end of Brentford's time at Griffin Park, the club agreed a deal with Hounslow Council on the 3rd of September 2015, which gave way to 75 new homes being approved to be built on the Griffin Park site after the club moved out. At the centre of the development will be a garden which will honour the stadium. Throughout its history, Griffin Park survived 2 world wars and 2 bombing raids. In the First World War, bombs were dropped near Griffin Park, which damaged part of the High Street. And in the Second World War, Griffin Park was hit by 2 high explosive shells. As a result, 6 matches had to be abandoned and postponed due to the Blitz. Griffin Park also survived a fire. On the 1st of February 1983, a fire broke out in the Bremer Road stand and it caused significant damage to part of the ground. 60 people were evacuated from homes nearby and there was an estimated damage bill of £150,000. Griffin Park was also well known in football circles for being the only football ground in England to have a pub on each corner. The 4 pubs are the Griffin, the Princess Royal, the New Inn and the Brook, but from a vlog that I saw another YouTuber do, one of the pubs has since closed since Griffin Park has been shut down, so only 3 pubs remain. Another interesting fact about Griffin Park is that it was beneath a flight path on the way to London Heathrow Airport, and the roofs of the New Road and Bremer Road stands were used for large advertising space. The roofs of both stands were used to advertise KLM, Ericsson, Infogrames and Qatar Airways. Griffin Park not only hosted football, it also hosted rugby league. Between 2002 to 2006, the London Broncos called Griffin Park home, and also another football team played their home matches there. Between 2007 and 2010, it was the home ground of the Chelsea Football Club reserves. Griffin Park also hosted some international friendly games throughout its history. Some of the teams that played there were Ghana, Nigeria, also Netherlands and Italy played there. The ground also hosted a few under 18 and under 21 international matches and also a couple of FA Amateur Cup semi-finals and a few Floodlit Cup games as well. Another interesting fact about Griffin Park is that when Brentford were in the 4th Division in the late 1960s, they were heavily in debt. And Jim Gregory, the chairman of Queen's Park Rangers, Brentford's arch rivals, offered £250,000 to buy the ground from Brentford and move Queen's Park Rangers into Griffin Park. However, former Brentford chairman Walter Wheatley stepped in and provided the club with a £69,000 loan. Also looking at some records which happened at Griffin Park, the record attendance for any match was on the 24th of February 1949. Brentford played against Leicester City in the FA Cup 6th round and 38,678 people watched that game. The record attendance in the Football League was 38,535 against Arsenal in 1938. Brentford's biggest ever home win was also at Griffin Park during their time there. In 1963, on the 15th of October, they defeated Wrexham 9-0 in a 3rd Division match. So that concludes my video on Brentford's former ground, Griffin Park, their home between 1904 to 2020. It looked like a great little ground, especially I remember that double-decker stand behind one of the goals there. That's generally where the away fans were. I remember that quite well. Unfortunately, I never got to go to Griffin Park, but I saw it many times on telly. These days, they now play at the Brentford Community Stadium, which has a capacity of 17,250. At the moment, for sponsorship reasons, it's called the G-Tech Community Stadium, but I still call it the Brentford Community Stadium. That looks like a nice little ground as well. I've actually drove past it, but hopefully in the future I get to go to it. But that is me video on Griffin Park. If you've been to this ground, let me know in the comment section below, and let me know your memories of Griffin Park and Brentford. So anyways, this has been History of Football. Thanks for watching the video. If you like History of Football on YouTube, go and check me out on Facebook, Instagram and TikTok. I've got links for those in the description below. And also I run a rugby league page called Rugby League History. I've got links for those in the description below as well. But anyways, this has been History of Football, and I'll catch us all later in the next one. Alright, tatty bye for now.